Howdy everyone, today we'll be taking on a Pokemon FireRed hardcore Nuzlocke with only shiny poison type Pokemon. Like the last video, these are boosted odds as I don't have time to do the proper hunts. They will be 1 out of 502. And before we start as well, let's just have a quick look at the color theme for shiny poison types, as I actually think it's quite interesting. They range from a bright blue to a dulled yellow. I assume the bright blue is a reference to real nature, as a lot of real life poisonous creatures have adapted to be very bright as a way to tell predators, hey, don't eat me or I'll kill ya. And as for the dulled yellow, it tends to be common on grass poison types, and I wonder if it's meant to represent decaying or poison plants. This is just a thought, but I thought it was a pretty interesting one, as a lot of these shiny poison types do have a similar color palette. Also, in this run we have access to 13 possible encounters, although I thought it was only 11, so I do miss a couple in this run. And I'm pretty scared for Sabrina, as she has an Alakazam, and unlike some newer gens, we don't have access to a dark poison type. But other than that, I'm pretty confident, as Gen 1 has a large array of good poison types, such as Venusaur and Nidoking. Shout out to Serenity and Bastion, as they guessed the last video's theme, which was Community. If you want a shout out in the next video, guess the theme below, and while you're down there, consider hitting that like button and subscribe button. Check the description to see what I consider hardcore Nuzlocke rules. So obviously we are picking Bulbasaur, as he starts off as a grass poison type from the get-go. After searching for around 30 minutes, we get Ted the shiny Bulba, and he's adamant, which is sad because in this game all grass moves are special, and even with the adamant boost, we barely beat our rival, living on 4 HP. After getting Pokeballs, we get our second encounter, a shiny Weedle, who we call Brad. And with Ted on our team, Brock is easy. 2 Vine Whips and he's done. Easy stuff.
God damn!
On the way to Misty, Ted evolves into Ivysaur and Brad evolves twice, becoming a Beedrill. We also catch Barney the Nidoran male, and can I just talk about the Nidoqueen shiny for just a second? Okay, so not only is Nidoking just a better Pokemon in general, in my opinion, it also has a much better shiny. I mean, why is it green? Why is it green? It doesn't make sense. Nidoking is the color of Nidoqueen. That's what makes it so freaking cool. They have the color reverse theme right goddamn there. They did it with Nidoking, but here, goddamn Bulbasaur over here, green. They did it with the other two. You know, Nidoran female and Nidorino female are both goddamn the color of the males. But then they're like, oh yeah, no, actually, let's just make Nidoqueen green. Sorry, I didn't mean to go into so much detail. TLDR, we are really happy with this encounter. While in Mount Moon, we also catch Mitch the Zubat, and fun fact, a Mount Moon Zubat was my first ever shiny. Let me know in the comments what your first shiny was. Barney also evolves into Nidoran, and once we're out of the cave, I use the Moonstone to evolve Barney once again into a Nidoking so I can teach it Mega Punch. Before Misty, we have just one more encounter, being Ekans, who we name Zoe. We get to the level cap, and now it is finally time to take on Misty. She starts off with Staryu, who just barely lives a Vine Whip thanks to our adamant nature, but a couple more take it out. She brings in Starmie now. I start off with a Leech Seed, and I then try to put Starmie to sleep, but I miss and he crits me. I miss again, and I'm forced to switch into Barney. She crits on the switch again. God damn. We live on 14 HP, and so I have to pray that she doesn't go for Swift on the switch. This is a gamble, but we have to risk it. I switch into Ted, and she goes for Water Pulse. Thankfully, Ted lives on 8 HP, and she dies to the Leech Seed. This battle was way harder than I thought. Losing either Ted or Barney here would have been absolutely tragic. And I forgot to record this next part, and sadly we did have a death before Lieutenant Surge, so here's my paint presentation on how Zoe the shiny Ekans died. So there I was, just completed the Lieutenant Surge puzzle. It took me a first go, never happened before, unprecedented luck, and I was feeling pretty chuffed. I had good old Zoe in the front, ready to take on Lieutenant Surge, and I completely forgot about this guy. My lord, the chattiest, most hipster goddamn old dude in the Pokemon world. This guy sends out his goddamn electric mouse. So here it is, his big old Pikachu, bro. Oh my lord. I was feeling pretty confident though, as we do have ourselves an Ekings up front. And I don't know if you guys have checked the Pokedex lately, but Ekings should have an advantage, as Ekings is a snake and Pikachu is a goddamn mouse Pokemon. So you would think we would win this pretty easily. But Pikachu just goddamn uses his body weight, slams my poor Ekings as we get parried on the bite. And since I'm really stubborn and honestly nature is law, I decide to stay in. But he goes for yet another slam and just absolutely dumpsters Zoe the Ekings, and that was the end of that. I then sent in the king and just killed it with the dig, which is coincidentally what happened to the rest of Surge's team. And yeah, so sorry for forgetting to record this part. I hope this presentation makes up for it. So what you see here is what you get with this fight. It was an easy stomp since Nidoking is part ground and Dig just one-shot Surge's team. While in Rock Tunnel, Mitch evolves into a Golbat and we teach Nidoking Rock Slide. And with these team upgrades complete, it's time to take on Erica, who is overall an easy fight even though her Grass-type Pokemon are a bit tanky. We completely wall them with Golbat, who resists almost all of their moves, as she has 2 grass poison types and 1 just pure grass type. And with a couple of wing attacks, the fight is over and we have ourselves the 4th gym badge. Now it's time for the Giovanni fight, which I thought would be super easy, but, well, I'll let you watch what happens. He starts off with Onyx, who easily gets one-shot by Razor Leaf. He then sends out Rhydon, who suffers the same fate. But now for Kangaskhan. He hits us with Tail Whip as we hit the Sleep Powder. He wakes up on the first turn and hits us with another Tail Whip. We are now -2 defense and we miss the Razor Leaf. I try to go for another Sleep Powder, but... Yep, Mega Punch KOs Ted. And as you can see by how long I'm pausing, I'm heartbroken. Losing one of your favorite Pokemon in a run is always tragic, but now it's time for Barney to come in and revenge his bro. I go for the Rock Slide thinking I might be able to get some flinches, but Kang outspeeds. After getting hit by 2 Tail Whips, Barney hits Kang with a double kick, one of the hits being a crit, bringing Kang to red HP. I take a risk and stay in as he goes for bite, and we finish Kang off with another double kick. A tragic fight, but the run still continues, as on our way to Koga, we catch and evolve Tracy the Haunter and Robin the Venomoth. After clearing out Team Rocket from the Ghost Tower, it's time to take on Koga. Before Koga, we evolve Marshall into Gloom, and we catch Quinn the Nidoran female in the Safari Zone, who quickly evolves into Nidorino.
I did it again!
Oh hi, I forgot to record again. Welcome to my paid presentation part 2. So there I was walking into the poison type gym, and I was just like, well, we should be fine. But you know, there's just a Hypno, a goddamn Hypno. So what's Hypno weak to? It's weak to bug types, but the only bug type we have is Beedrill. Unfortunately, goddamn Beedrill does not like the psychic attacks very much at all. So this little goddamn hobgoblin, little child fiddler, goddamn hits us with a psychic and we die. I also forget to record the Gary fight in Silphco, but we're just going to ignore that. Okay, thank you for watching. So yes, Brad is dead due to me forgetting they had psychic types in this gym, but well, it's time to take on Koga. I can't dig his coughing due to the levitate ability, so I decided Rock Slide is our best move, and after a couple of those, coughing goes down. He sends in Muck, who goes down to only 2 digs from Barney. He brings in his second coughing, who takes 2 thrashes and goes for self-destruct. Luckily, Barney lives on 20 HP, but now it's time for his wheezing. I switch out to Robin, who has Psybeam, and 2 of those are enough to defeat the subpar poison trainer Koga. I did forget to record the rival fight in Silphco, so I do apologize, but now it's time to get our revenge on Giovanni. He starts with Nidorino, who gets one shot by Barney's dig. He then sends out Kenga, who tanks a double kick and retaliates with a mega punch, but gets poisoned due to our ability Poison Point. I go for a strength, which brings it into poison range next turn. To dodge an attack, I go for dig as poison kills Kang. He sends in Rhyhorn, who takes the first dig but can't live the second. In comes Nidoqueen, who lives a dig on 50% HP but gets the power on Body Slam. I make a mistake by staying in, as another Body Slam could have easily killed Barney, but he goes for double kick instead. While in his safe hole, Barney gets full powered, so now we have to switch. I go into Marshall, I put the Queen to sleep, and then I switch into Tracy as I Dream Eater the Queen. And with that, we have taken our revenge on Giovanni. Sabrina is the next fight, and I was terrified. While training Haunter, I killed a bunch of Diglets for some speed EVs. Hopefully, it was enough to outspeed her Alakazam. And then we have to pray that Shadow Punch one-shots it, as one Psychic is enough to sweep through our whole team. Well, I guess all we have to do is dive in and see how it went. She starts off with a Kadabra, who we outspeed and one-shot with Shadow Punch. Same thing happens with Mr. Mime, but now it's time for our Alakazam, who we outspeed, but she lives on around 10 HP. If she goes for Psychic here, the run is over. But she goes for Future Sight, and we take out her Alakazam with a couple more Shadow Punches as she spams potions. She brings in Venomoth as I go for Hypnosis so I can use Dream Eater next turn, but we sadly miss and Psybeam does too much damage to risk staying in. I stupidly switch into Marshall, who loses 70% of his HP from Psybeam. I switch into Mitch and end this fight with the Wing Attack. Whew, glad we got out of that fight in one piece. Before Blaine, we catch Scooter the Tentacle and Wendy the Wheezing. We quickly evolve Scooter as he'll play a big part versus Blaine. Now, Blaine is known to be a bit of a pushover, so I'm not too worried about this fight. His first 2 Pokemon, Growlithe and Ponyta, faint to 1 Surf. His Rapidash lives on around 20 HP as I set up a barrier on his heel just in case his Arcanine lands a takedown. A couple more Surfs and it's time for his Ace, who falls to 2 Surfs. Not even at the level cap, and we easily take out Blaine. We've made it to the final gym battle with only 3 deaths. Hopefully we can keep this up through the Elite Four, but for now it's time to take on Giovanni for the last time. He starts off with Rhyhorn, who isn't even worth the Surf, so I take it out with Bubble Beam. In comes Dugtrio, who falls to only 1 Surf. He sends in his Ace, a level 50 Rhyhorn, ooh scary, who also falls to 1 Surf. He sends in Nidoqueen, and here I make a big silly and go for Barrier, meaning I take 2 Earthquakes, leaving me on 7 HP. So I spam Surf until I kill Nidoqueen. He then sends in the Nidoking. I switch into Mitch as he locks himself into Thrash, so I send in Tracy, who actually walls Nidoking as only Poison Sting hits Haunter. After around 4 Hypnosis misses and a full Restore, we eventually put Nidoking to sleep and one-shot it with Dream Eater. After defeating Giovanni, I go to the game corner and buy TM24 and teach it to Haunter. This is for the rival fight as I need Haunter to take out Pidgeot as he sends in Alakazam second, so this method saves Haunter switching into a potential Psychic. We start with Tracy as his Pidgeot barely takes the Thunderbolt, though we do take it out with our second one. He then sends in Alakazam.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Who we one-shot with Shadow Ball. He sends in Rhyhorn as I send in Marshall. I was going to use Petal Dance, but I didn't want to be locked in just in case he sent out Charizard. So I Poison Stall it with Moonlight Healing. He then sends in Charizard, who gets walled by Scooter and faints to a couple of Surfs. His Execute loses to our Mitch as he brings in Gyarados. I send in Robin and miss a Supersonic even with Compound Eyes as he sets up the rain. We hit Poison Powder for more chip damage as he misses Hydro Pump, and with 2 side beams and Poison Chip, we win the battle. While in Victory Road, I evolve Wendy into Wheezing, and now it's time for the Elite Four. I'm a bit worried about Lorelei as she has 2 psychic types and Lapras is extremely tanky. And Agatha, as well as I guess she has friends to trade her Haunters, so she has 2 Gengars, which is pretty spooky. Other than that, our team has decent coverage, so we should be fine. Let's get into it. Lorelei starts with Jugon as we start with Tracy. I go for Hypnosis to make sure she doesn't set up a safeguard, as it'll be important that we can Toxic her Lapras. 2 Thunderbolts then take out Jugon. Next is one of our Psychic type Slowbro. I put it to sleep and then hit it with Shadow Ball, and since we got the special defense decrease, I'm confident a Thunderbolt will take it out, and it does. In comes her scariest Pokemon. Due to its bulk, Lapras can tank a bunch of hits while dishing out noteworthy damage itself. I switch into Wheezing, and staying true to the poison type, I go for a Toxic Stall. While we hit Toxic, Surf does a decent chunk of damage to Wendy. I switch into Scooter, who gets parried by Body Slam. I hit a couple of Acids and switch into Tracy to finish off Lapras with Thunderbolt. Cloyster can't take a T-Bolt due to its horrible special defense, and in comes Jinx. I go for Shadow Ball, praying it one-shots and that we outspeed, and thankfully we do. And with that, we defeated Lorelei. Next is Bruno, who I'm not even remotely scared of, since we wall his team pretty hard with our poison typing. He starts with Onyx as we wash it away with a Surf from Scooter. He sends in another Onyx, but it suffers the same fate. Next is Hitmonlee. I set up 2 barriers to make sure Scooter can tank the rest of his incoming Pokemon, and after 2 Surfs, his Hitmonchan is in healing range, so I use the opportunity to set up a 3rd barrier. And after a Hydro Pump and Surf combo, Hitmonchan finally faints. And next is Hitmonlee, which also falls to a Surf and Hydro Pump combo, and thanks to our barrier boosts, his Machamp does barely any damage, and with a few more Surfs, we beat Bruno. It's time for old Hagatha. She starts with Gengar, which barely lives a Shadow Ball from Tracy, and retaliates with a Shadow Punch, and Tracy also barely lives on 14 HP. Oh man, this is going to be scary. I switch into Robin, and 2 Psychics finish off her first Gengar. In comes Golbat, so I switch into Wendy. Golbat confuses Wendy, and we hit ourselves twice and get hit by a crit Air Cutter. We finally snap out of confusion and land a Shockwave, but now we have to switch into Barney, and Rock Slide finally takes out the Golbat. And we land one more Rock Slide onto Haunter as Barney is put to sleep. I switch because I don't want to lose Barney to a Dream Eater. Robin comes back in and finishes off Haunter. In comes her second Gengar, who gets one shot due to a crit Psychic, and then Arbok falls to 2 Psychics, and with that, old Hagatha has been defeated. Now it's time for the final Elite Four member, Lance. We teach Scooter Blizzard in preparation for the fight, and we start with Tracy since he always leads with Gyarados. Let's see how it goes. He does start with the Gyarados, and Tracy one-shots it with Thunderbolt. Next is Aerodactyl, who tanks the Thunderbolt, and we get the Para, though those efforts are wasted as he uses a full restore. We switch into Wendy, who tanks a Hyper Beam and finishes Aerodactyl off with a Shockwave. I didn't want to switch anyone into an Outrage, so I sacrifice Wendy and bring in Scooter. I miss the first Blizzard and the second just barely misses the KO. I switch into Barney, who gets chunked by Hyper Beam, but on the recharge turn I miss Rock Slide. We do hit the second one though, and in comes his first Dragonair, who takes an EQ but sets up a Safeguard, which is followed up by another full restore. 2 more EQs take out Dragonair, and then I completely misplay with his last Dragonair, and instead of switching I stay in, and instead of hitting Earthquake I hit Mega Horn, which only does 50%, and his Outrage takes out Barney. We bring in Robin and finish off Lance's last Pokemon, but man, this last fight is going to be hard without Barney. I really don't know if I'm going to be able to win this battle without Barney and Wendy, but with an updated sidebar, it's time for our final battle. I start with Tracy as he starts with Pidgeot. T-Bolt barely doesn't pick up the KO and we get chunked by Aerial Ace. I go for Hypnosis on the heal and then 2 T-Bolts take it out. Alakazam actually outspeeds us, but thank the Lord he goes for Future Sight and not Psychic. God bless the Gen 3 AI. Then he lives on 1 HP. Oh Christ, oh god. Out of pure panic, I switch into Mitch, but the Gen 3 AI is just awful and he spams Future Sight 3 more times. Whew. This could have ended the run, but we did it. Next is Rhydon, who even after getting a speed drop on the switch, gets outsped by Scooter and gets one-shot by Surf. Now it's time for his Executor, and I send in Robin, forgetting its best move is Gust. I missed 2 Compound Eye Supersonics and get crit by Egg Bomb. I finally hit Supersonic and decide it's best just to sacrifice Robin as she's done her job for the run, and I want to get a safe switch into Mitch. So with the final Egg Bomb, Robin goes down, and after we wake up from a sleep powder, Mitch takes out Executor with 2 wing attacks. I do some chip damage on Gyarados and let Mitch fall to a Thrash, so we can get a safe switch into Gyarados with Tracy and one-shot it with Thunderbolt. In comes his final Pokemon, Charizard. I go for T-Bolt, not expecting it to KO, but we get the crit, and with that, we've beaten Pokemon FireRed with only shiny poison types. I hope you guys did enjoy this run. It was a little bit less challenging than I thought it was going to be. There were definitely some fights where I had my butt clenched, but other than that, a pretty smooth sailing. Most of our deaths were in the Elite Four, so we can be pretty proud of that. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe for more. The next run on the channel will be, can we beat Pokemon Black with only evolutions? But yeah, without further ado, I'll leave you guys to the YouTube realm. If you haven't seen our last video playing Pokemon Emerald Hardcore Nuzlocke with only shiny Pokemon, definitely check that one out. And yeah, see you in the next video, guys. Have a good one.